All right, everybody, welcome to Noon on Tuesday. This is a special edition. I'm your host, Gina, Cheese Whiz, and we are ringside today for the food fight of all centuries. This is bigger than that Mayweather-McGregor thing that happened. I tell you, I'm going to turn it over to the ringmaster for the introduction.
Thank you, Cheese Whiz. And let's get right to it. In this corner, we have the reigning champion from the town of Parma in Italy, weighing in at roughly 15 to 17 pounds and aging for a minimum of 12 months. Meet Prosciutto di Parma! And in the other corner, our challenger from the mountains of Spain, weighing in at a minimum of 13 pounds after air dry curing for at least 6 months, Serrano jamon!
All right, everybody. Okay, we're talking meat today, but we're still going to be cheesy. Anyways, I am here. Welcome, Flo. Flo is a wonderful cheesemonger at our Mission Hill shop, just recently returned from Spain. So,
Good,
yeah, welcome, Flo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad you could come.
Fight of the century.
This is the fight of the century because I think I have an opinion on this too, but we want to talk about it all today because I think there is deep-heated love on both sides for Prosciutto di Parma, the beautiful pig from Italy, and Serrano jamon, the beautiful pig from Spain. And there's multiple types of pigs. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, one of the big, even among jamon, there's so much difference. So Serrano is actually made from different pigs than jamon Iberico is. So Iberico actually refers to the Iberian black boar, which is a very old breed, pretty different than the white pig that's used for most pork production in the world.
Yeah.
Besides being very old, it's just not as productive. There's less meat per head.
Interesting for the black ones.
Yeah, it is fattier too, though. It has that intramuscular fat that makes this pork product so delicious. Big, slender legs, long snout for getting those acorns out of the grass.
Yeah.
And one of the defining characteristics of these black boar are the black hooves. And that's where the name pata negra comes from. That's how a lot of people refer to jamon iberico.
Right, as pata negra.
Exactly.
Never knew. I always just thought that was a cool name.
Yeah, no, actually, when I was
really
in
refers to
Spain,
the pig.
I got a chance to tour a jamon curing room.
Yeah.
And you can see, these hooves are still at the top of the leg.
Yeah.
It's these black hooves.
It's black hooves. That's awesome. Tell us a little bit first about you, how you first got into cheese and then what took you to Spain. What's the fascination?
Yeah, what got me into cheese was partially Venissimo, to be honest. I came as a customer many times, and the passion of the cheesemongers I talked to was really compelling. It wasn't just knowledge; it was also enthusiasm. It's cheese can be such a visceral experience.
Yeah.
It's as complex as a great wine. And it really tells a story sometimes. You taste some cheese, it starts out saying something, and then it kind of goes somewhere else, and then finishes. It can really surprise you just in the matter of 10 seconds or so.
Super.
And another thing I find really appealing about it is that it's sort of like bread to me. I love good sourdough as well. It's just a few ingredients.
Yeah.
It's basically just milk.
Isn't that fascinating?
And thyme.
Right. Milk, thyme, bread. It's the flour,
Yeah,
say,
just
the
flour,
wheat, the thyme.
salt, yeast.
Yeah. Same with the
And-
cheese. Yeah. The meat. Yeah. The pork and the salt.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Just depending on little tiny variations in the products that you start with, and variations in exactly how you treat it just becomes different things. From brie to gouda.
Yeah.
To,
Exactly.
jamon to serrano. And the taste differences are huge.
Yeah.
So you can never get bored in the world of cheese.
No, exactly. Nor in the world of the hams, right?
Exactly.
Super good. So when you went to Spain, did you have a mission to try all the different kinds?
It was first and foremost a food adventure.
Yeah.
My wife and I both love food. She'd been to Spain before, and she loved it. And I'd always believed that jamon Iberico de Bolota is basically the best thing you can put in your mouth. Just so complex, so rich.
I don't know. I kind of wanted to compare that to truffles, right? Is that like the truffle of meat? The Iberico.
Yeah,
Could we say that?
Caviar of meat,
the caviar of meat.
The greatest
the
food item in the
Jaguar,
world.
the Porsche of meat.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more I looked into Spain, it's a small country relative to the U.S., but there's so much a variation between the regions. People know about a couple of the big cities, but for example, Asturias, one of the states in the northern region, right on the coast, is a part of Spain where a lot of people don't go. And one of the things that got me interested in Asturias was it's a great place for cheese. Some cheeses that people might know, like Cabrales, come from there, and then others that are a little bit less familiar in the U.S., like Gamoneo, but countless others as well. So Asturias was really compelling.
Nice.
And yeah, it was just a great food adventure.
Food
we started
adventure.
in San Sebastian,
Okay.
in the Basque region, went over to Asturias, and then drove south, eventually ending up in Madrid, eating all along the way.
Eat all along the way.
Yeah.
I often think that Spain is kind of the underrated food. It doesn't get the appreciation that, say, an Italy or a France gets, right? Yeah. But yet so spectacular and delicious.
Yeah, that was our experience, exactly.
As well. Oh, awesome. So tell us, let's start with kind of the basic, the Serrano jamon. Mm-hmm. That's this guy right here. Super, if people that can see it, it's super lean. I don't see any fat in that. Very little.
Exactly, right? And the reason for that is that it's not made with this Iberian black boar. It's made with white pigs, which are a lot more economical to use in this sort of in cured meat production, but it doesn't result in as tasty a product as using the black boar.
Yeah. What do they eat? Do you know? Like what typically does the typical Serrano jamon white pig eat? Yeah,
I mean the pigs that don't eat the acorns, like the very best of the Iberian black boars that make jamon ibérico de pelota, they usually eat a mix of different cereals.
Okay.
So corn and
different grains.
Basically whatever's cheapest.
Right? Okay.
But yeah, and it really comes out in the taste.
It's really, really good. And taste, I would imagine it, just like in the milks, if the cows eat a lot of grass and stuff, the color of the milk is a lot more golden. It's just very different. I would imagine so. Depends what the pigs eat. It's going to reflect in the color of the meat.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
In the legs.
It's both the breed and it's the diet.
Yeah. That's awesome. Serrano jamon, did you have it at every meal? Is this like their chips and salsa?
We probably could have.
You could have.
But we were trying to eat the things that were kind of most special in the places we were.
Okay.
So we didn't spend terribly long in the jamon region we were in.
Yeah.
So we spent a night in Salamanca, which is one of the capitals of jamon. There are a lot of different jamon shops there, and there's jamon producers just outside of Salamanca. But that's where our main jamon adventure took place.
And that's kind of more in the hills, is that correct? Is that more mountainous there?
Yeah, it's mountainous. It's pretty dry compared to Asturias. These kind of rolling yellow hills as far as the eye can see. But so we ended up going to a little town south of Salamanca where we toured the jamon facility. Yeah. That was Arturo Sanchez.
Awesome.
It was a wonderful experience. Just going from room to room, smelling these aging jamon legs it was a smell you've never smelled before. Just really deep and rich and funky and fermented.
And tell us about the rooms. Because they're air dry cured.
Yeah.
So do they have a breeze blowing on them? Are the windows open? How would you describe the room?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, as high-tech as a lot of jamon production is, there's certain aspects of it that are very low-tech. And the reason that the curing chambers are all in this one area there is because it's this ideal mountain breeze. And the way that they use it is, as you say, you just open and close the windows. Yeah. So they control the humidity and the temperature just with things like that.
Yeah.
Opening and closing the windows. And just, that's the spot for where the breeze is best for the curing of the jamon legs.
Oh, super good. Yeah. Now, on those legs, too, are the bones in there? You don't see the hooves on these, or do you as well?
Yeah, so
the full leg.
Yeah, when these are curing, it's still bone in. Sometimes when you'll see a whole jamon leg, it will have the bone removed. But typically there, when we saw whole legs where they were cutting jamon off of, they still had the bone in. And also it's a way of telling that the product that you have is a real Iberian black
The real
boar,
deal.
because you see the black hoof on it.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, can't be faking that. Exactly. I remember, Flo, when I went years ago, going to the delis, they would have the legs, just hanging, of course, just rows of them.
Yeah.
And underneath, they just had little paper cones to catch the fat dripping.
Exactly.
Because as it got warmer out, it would just kind of the fat would melt off, and then they would just catch it. And that's completely natural, completely fine, completely edible, and so real.
Exactly.
Right?
And that happens during the curing process, too. That's an integral part, the melting of the fat. I think it actually varies by season, as you would imagine, right?
Nice.
Because since they don't have a super temperature controlled area and the windows are open, in summer it's warmer and there's more fat melting. And winter, it's cooler, and that's not happening, and all sorts of chemical reactions are occurring.
Science.
And that's where all those interesting flavors come from. All these chemical reactions occurring during the
that's
sort of
awesome.
fermentation
Through
process.
that process. Do they turn them, spin them? Did you notice sometimes cheese wheels get turned every day or every week. Did you notice that with the legs?
I think that it's more about the initial placement, if I understood correctly. So you want to hang them in a way that the airflow works around there. If they're too close,
Could dry out.
I think it's more just that the airflow doesn't the air doesn't flow around the legs as well if it's too crowded. But it is very hands-on. I mean, they go every day and they check how things are doing and maybe make small adjustments.
Super. And how long is the minimum process for a Serrano? I read anything between 6 months. They have to do it about 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, since there are so many different grades, right? There's jamon Serrano, and then there's also jamon Iberico, and within that, many different subgrades. I think each one of them has different requirements. So I know more about the jamon Iberico.
Ooh.
Let's
bring him in now that we know a little bit about him. Let's get ready to eat is what it should say.
Exactly.
So this is the Iberico. Look at the marbling on that and the deep dark color. Almost like a dark cherry in parts.
Yeah, no, it's just a very beautiful product.
Yeah.
So the jamon Iberico de Bellota, the very finest.
Top of the top.
Very finest, yeah. It kind of helps to break down that whole name, right? So the jamon refers to the fact that it's the back leg of the pig, as opposed to the paleta, which is from the front leg. The Iberico, that refers to the Iberian black boar, the breed of the pig. And then the de Bellota refers to the diet. So these pigs, and only these pigs, eat acorns during the fall and winter. And during that process, that's where a lot of that fat actually shows up.
Yeah.
They roam on these beautiful meadows called dehesas, dotted with palm and cork oaks. And these palm and cork oaks will drop acorns, and the pigs just feast on them. They love them.
Just gorge on them.
Yeah, and depending on the company, they'll either do this just for one season or two. So Arturo Sanchez, they were very proud that they actually had the pigs go through this acorn feeding twice.
So then they're older, more developed, more intense of a flavor, I would imagine.
Yeah. Like I was mentioning earlier, some of this is very high tech. They actually did some pretty rigorous scientific testing on their products relative to others, and they found that the antioxidant content of their jamon that went through 2 acorn feeding seasons was significantly different from both jamon that hadn't gone through a season of acorn feeding and jamon that had gone through just one. So
all makes a difference, right? Makes a difference to the pig. That is crazy, and it also makes a difference to the price.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this stuff is just super crazy expensive.
Yeah. The top line around town, and you actually did go to Pata Negra of all shops. Exactly. It's a great, if anybody doesn't know it, a place to buy all things Spain, right? All the delicious things from Spain.
It was overwhelming. I could have spent an hour there easily. All sorts of beautiful things. And they did have a jamon Iberico de Bellota.
And how much was that running?
That was $179.99 a pound, I believe.
$179.99. So let's see. If we do 20 slices about for a quarter pound, I can't quite do the math, but we're talking a couple dollars a slice. Easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
But a little goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like, you put a single slice in your mouth, and it's a whole story of flavors.
Yeah.
It's really about that experience. You're not trying to get full with it necessarily.
No, you want that like caviar. You typically don't eat a giant bowl of it, and you eat a few bites of it, and it's wonderful. Same thing.
Exactly.
Very good. So talk about the legs again, though. You mentioned, so typically the prosciutto and the Serranos are the back. So we're talking kind of like the butt and the thigh of the rear legs.
They're bigger, and the flavor differs as well.
Okay, flavor differs. But you had paleta, which you said now is the front. And is that often when you see the leg laying in the little stand and they're just cutting right from right from the edge of the bone?
Yeah, so the ones you see in the stand, I I think are usually jamon instead of paleta. And then the traditional way to cut jamon properly is to use a stand and hand cut it with a knife.
But so thin. How do they get it so thin and fine with just
they
a
have
hand
a special
and a knife?
and they have expertise. I mean, I looked at some of the videos on the Arturo Sanchez website, and they were guiding you through the process of cutting a whole leg, and it's more complicated than I thought. Because not only is there a technique to getting the right sort of consistency with each slice, the right sort of size. They're meant to be really only, like that big.
A couple inches maybe wide, an inch or two maybe.
Yeah, and about 25% fat on each of the slices.
So they want to get a nice balance on each piece that they slice.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's also different, even to a jamon leg, there are different sections. So there's the ham hock, which is closest to the hoof. It's sometimes called the butcher's cut, I believe.
Fatty, would you say?
It's not as fatty. It's very powerful. I mean, that was the part of the jamon that reminded me most of cheese, actually.
Really?
It has almost like a camembert, sort of earthy, mushroomy, like gamey.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but right there, that's what you got from that section.
Yeah, so there was the ham hock, the cushion, and the hip.
Okay.
And each section tastes a little bit different. And a good jamon slicer will, when preparing a plate, will try to get you pieces from each of the sections.
So that you can experience all the different flavors from that one leg.
Exactly. And when we were in Salamanca at Arturo Sanchez's restaurant, they're called Jamon.
Ham?
No, we went straight to the good stuff.
Right
the
there.
Jamon Iberico de Bellota Grand Reserve. So that refers to it being aged for more than 3 years.
My God.
We just had a plate of that. And it was spectacular.
Did that set you back $128 a pound, do you think? No,
actually,
not so bad.
Definitely way cheaper there. Right? It's way cheaper. But still not super cheap.
Sure, yeah.
And then just to break things up a little bit, we had that potato fried egg paleta dish. Which, is not as pure as just this concentrated, pure meat, but just an absolutely beautifully conceived dish.
And was that breakfast? So you talk about potato and eggs. I kind of think of that as a breakfast, but could you do they eat that all the time?
I'm not sure what time they usually eat it. We ate it for lunch.
Okay.
It seemed perfect to me.
Right. So almost like our bacon and eggs in a way?
Yeah, it's sort of a Spanish fancy version of bacon and eggs.
But it's not cooked or anything. It's just sliced. It's just the sliced prosciutto again.
Yeah, they'll cook the potatoes.
Serrano.
They'll cook the potatoes in a way that I don't even know how they cook it because the texture was different than anything I've ever had.
Yeah.
Eggs were beautiful, really dark orange yolks, and then they'll slice the plate
fresh and slice it right on top. Just kind of shave it on.
Yeah.
When you would get a plate of it, did they put any cheese on it, shavings, any olives with it? Or really, it's just meant to be the meat itself, or even bread? Or, again, just the meat?
There were these little crackers, sort of like a oversized grain of rice, basically. I'm not sure what they're called, actually, but they're meant to kind of be the chaser. You have a piece of jamon, and then just to get ready for the next slice, you have a little piece of this bread cracker.
Right.
More jamon.
Cleanse the palate.
But we barely needed them. So.
Who needs it? Yeah.
After the egg, potato, and paleta, we just got another plate of jamon Iberico de Bellota.
Why not?
Grand Reserve.
Yeah, why not? So very good.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the farm really quick where you saw the production. Were the pigs there as well? Did you get to see the pigs?
We didn't actually. I was my impression was that this was all in one area, but they actually have the pigs elsewhere. And like I was saying earlier, the curing rooms are there because of the mountain air. But those environmental factors are not exactly what the pigs need. So it makes sense that they're
somewhere
areas.
else. Yeah, interesting.
So next time I go back, I would like to see the pigs as well.
Yeah, exactly.
They seem like just magnificent creatures.
They have to be because I was reading that each leg has to be at least 13 pounds after being cured. So, because during the curings, a lot of the moisture goes away, so a lot of weight would go away as well.
Absolutely,
So they've got to be giant if you've got the two back legs that are 13 pounds, plus front ones, plus the bulk of the pig
they're
itself,
already big animals, but during the acorn feeding season, they actually sometimes up to double their weight.
Oh, my God.
And
That's just
it's
wild.
all fat and a special kind of fat, too. It's oleic acid, which occurs in olive oil as well. It's actually it's named after olives, oleic acid. So some people say that jamon Iberico de Bellota is actually heart healthy.
Heart healthy, because you could equate it to the heart healthiness of olive oil.
Exactly.
Ooh, learn something every day.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with that. I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. on the pig. You also had some roasted. I saw a dish that you had, like it was roasted pig, and it had like this crispiest skin I ever saw.
It was magical.
What was it? The pork belly? Like, was it? Do we know? Like, was this? Where did that come from?
I'm not even sure.
But
It was it was just called roast pork, and like you said, there was just like a paper thin crispiness, almost like the top of a creme brulee, but a little bit thinner,
nice.
and you just break through it, and then like the fat and the soft meat is right underneath.
Oh.
And like I asked them, like, how do you get it so crispy? I mean, I've made pork dishes before. I've tried to go for a sort of crispiness, and they said, the magic is in the oven. And they have this wood fire.
Oh yeah!
Oven.
Oh
exactly.
Yeah!
And we went in the back and checked it out, and it's something about the oven. So.
Something about it. It's like a pizza oven making the perfect pizza. Same thing, just creates the perfect crust, the perfect thing. So again, using, of course, they're going to use every bit of the pig for different purposes and different things.
Yeah, I mean, the jamon legs really are, leftovers. Like, because when they slaughter a pig, there's certain cuts that they'll use fresh.
Sure.
Make into pork chops and stuff.
Sure.
And those are the choice cuts, right? Those are like the most desirable ones. These are the ones like, we don't really want them
What
fresh,
do we do with this?
So we have to create something out of it. So,
and we'll just cure it with the magic of salt and time.
Yeah.
Just like cheese. And which is why they go so good together.
Yeah.
Do you think you can tell the difference between, of course, like the Iberico and the Serrano?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No question.
No question.
What about between prosciutto and Serrano? Because that's a big debate. And that's what, if anybody is tuned in live and wants to put in their vote, which one is the winner? Prosciutto di Parma or Serrano jamon? Do you think you could tell the difference between the two?
I think so.
You think so? I think so too. And are we going to take our own votes on what we think and why we think they're different? Let me tell a little bit about difference on the prosciutto. Yeah. So where Serrano jamon can come from different regions of Spain, mostly just, the air cured in the hills and the mountains, Prosciutto di Parma has to come from Parma. It's more a regional based naming, right? The pigs, prosciutto, they eat a lot of grains and such as well, but they also eat a lot of the whey, if you didn't know this, that's a byproduct of Parmigiano-Reggiano production.
I was reading this as well.
Yeah, really fascinating. So to me, my theory is that whey, because the whey is a little sweet, makes Prosciutto di Parma a sweeter meat.
There we go.
I don't know. Do you think? Yeah. But also good. Back legs, about that 13 to, say, 18-pound piece of pure joy.
Absolutely.
And deliciousness. But I've got to say, I don't want to offend any Italian friends out there, but I do believe I'm a bigger fan of Serrano jamon.
Yeah. And even, it's almost an unfair comparison because Prosciutto di Parma is the absolute apex of Italian meats, right?
Right.
And jamon Serrano is, basically like the entry-level jamon.
Gotcha.
Right?
So you're talking,
yes. Serrano can beat Prosciutto di Parma, then I think Spain wins. So.
Yeah, it's really, really something.
Yeah.
Would you humor me, Flo? I'm going to put a blindfold on because I think I might be able to tell the difference and see which one that I like the best of the prosciutto or the Serrano. So you can't tell me which one you're giving, of course, first, but the fight is on. Okay.
All right.
So I love them both. Well, I'm going to eat them both regardless, but I do think prosciutto's sweeter, but I love them too. And then I know I can take the difference between the Iberico because the Iberico has that superb nuttiness that is just crazy. Okay, I'm going to
This is challenger number one.
Challenger number one. I'm going to smell it first. Okay. Oh, it smells so good. And then I'm going to devour it. Okay. This is going to be harder than I thought. I'm probably going to eat my words. Number one. Delicious. I love you. Okay.
All right. Here comes number two.
Okay. First with the nose. Then I can't with the eyes. That one seems a little drier. Not that that's a bad thing. Okay, this is a quandary. All right, I can take this off, right? So here's my thoughts on both of those. First one, more moist, and I think a little sweeter. I'm thinking that was the Prosciutto di Parma, was my guess. And then the Serrano was second. Now I don't know which one I love the best because it was a texture thing. And you know why? The prosciutto has more fat on it, and I love the fat. Am I right? Was that right? Was the first
Absolutely
one prosciutto?
correct, yeah.
Oh, shoo. All of them that I've eaten. Oh, but I can't eat my words and because they're both so different now and delicious. Like I said, the texturally, so much leaner, the piece of the Serrano that I had. But gosh, with having that little bit of extra fat on the prosciutto, a little more moisture and sweetness. That's crazy. So they're both very, very good. I would call it, you can't call it a TKO.
It's going to decision.
You're going to have,
went 12 rounds.
Yes, right? But what happens when there's a split decision?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of controversy.
There'll be controversy on this.
Tomorrow. Judge number one. You get a very strange scorecard.
Yeah, split decision. Let's go, though, and taste, you two, this Iberico.
Yeah.
Because this one, I wish you could all see it, but if you're going to look at the meats, the darker, deepest reddish-brown color, right, is when you know you've got Iberico, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think that color is...
You can tell with the color. You can tell with just the texture of the fat. I mean, one of the differences that...
Thank you, sir.
The differences that I see between prosciutto and jamon Iberico de Bellota is that the fat on jamon Iberico de Bellota, it melts. It really, like when you put that in your mouth, the fat just really melts away.
Not chewy.
The prosciutto is sometimes a bit chewier. And like you said, it's still delicious.
Yeah.
We're comparing among
apples, oranges, truffles.
Amazing stuff. Yeah. Black truffles to white truffles.
Yeah.
But the jamon Iberico de Bellota, I think partly because it has just a different kind of fat, right? Those acorns, like I was saying, produce that oleic acid.
Yeah.
You know, that fat just reacts differently in your mouth. So.
Fascinating. Almost like an oil. You had talked rather equating it to like an olive oil where it just kind of melts in.
Take a slice for myself.
But yeah, I can't go far enough to say how nutty that is compared to the others. The others to me are more meaty, a little more, this one is a nutty meat. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the tasting notes is just,
yeah.
I mean, I get like lemon and anchovy, like this strong umami flavor.
Strong umami. Yeah. All the I'm salivating. Like
exactly.
it just brings out every flavor you can imagine. Yeah. Sweet, salt, earth, citrus.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Funk.
Funk.
Fermented funkiness. Yeah.
Yeah, is really, really great.
Yeah.
Anybody gets a chance to try the Iberico, it's definitely worth it. We at Venissimo try to have it in, at least for sure, during the holidays and some other times as well, but definitely ask for it.
Yeah. And even if you can't get the jamon Iberico de Bellota, there's a lot of different grades of jamon Iberico.
Sure.
And many are still amazing. I actually didn't know this until recently, but there's jamon Iberico de Recebo, which... and
that's what we tried today.
So that has some acorn and some cereals in the pig's diet. So it doesn't get that certification, but it's very similar to the jamon
captures
Iberico
the
de
flavor.
Bellota. Exactly. And then one level below that is the jamon Iberico Cebo de Campo. No acorns there, but still that Iberian black boar.
The pig. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
there's
still
the
have
distinction.
That intramuscular fat from the breed, but not that kind of additional fat and
from the
richness
acorn.
From the acorn, yeah. And then that one, the pigs are still free range. One grade below that is jamon Iberico de Cebo. Not free range, no acorns, but still
the black
Iberian.
pig, the Iberian.
Black horse, exactly.
Okay. So that does explain a lot of things.
Yeah.
So hence it goes back to then that top-notch Bellota means with the acorn.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Exactly. And Bellota is acorn. And to get that certification, I mean, there's other things too. I mean, these inspectors go to these plants, and it's actually, I was reading about how they check for quality, and here's a link between Prosciutto de Parma and jamon Iberico de Bellota. They poke the legs with either a cow or horse bone, which why, right? and then they smell it. And they can pick up, sort of like a sommelier, just pick up all the flavors that tell the story about how this pig leg is doing.
That is crazy. Like literally a dried up bone from one of these other animals.
Just poke it, smell it, and then if they don't like what they smell, it doesn't get the certification.
It doesn't get it.
Yeah. So even if the pigs have done everything they have to do, they've been eating acorns, they won't be called jamon iberico de bolota.
They won't.
If the inspectors don't like it. So
And then what will they do? Then
it
it would be maybe the next grade down. But it'd still be delicious, just not that top notch. So you're guaranteed if you're seeing that label, that stamp, that is the top of the line. It does not get better than that.
Yeah. I mean, it within that, and there's many different producers, right? When I was visiting Arturo Sanchez, I looked on their website, and they talked a lot about like kind of what set them apart from other people that produce jamon iberico de bolota.
Yeah.
And they were saying they go kind of double the effort. They have the pigs eat acorns for 2 seasons instead of 1 and stuff. So there are different things you can do within the jamon iberico de bolota classification that may result in a difference in taste and quality. But like you said, if you get jamon iberico de bolota, you're guaranteed
something really good.
Yeah, exactly.
And then just like cheese, every leg will be slightly different.
Exactly.
The pig ate different things. The air that cured it was a bit different, a little breezy that day. It was summer, winter, which all makes it so good. That's the beauty of the artisanal product, right? That it's just, you never quite know what you're going to get. You just know it's going to be darn good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, excellent, Flo. Well, I think I learned a ton today. Appreciate you coming in, sharing your Spanish things. Everyone, appreciate you for tuning in. And do we have a vote on prosciutto or Serrano? I think it's it is. It's a draw. Anyway, on that note, everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn more, I'm going to have pictures on noonontuesday.com. So check it out. Have a good one. Till next time.